Hello, and welcome back to another Minecraft Let's Play video with me, Elven Dragon. So last episode we went and built up a small little zombie spawner farm over here at our little basalt farm in the redstone pit, just so that we had a bit more automatic source of XP, and I must say this is going pretty well. It's not the most efficient thing in the world, but it is giving us just a little bit of experience. And I went to check on how much we've gotten so far, and we've got a few stacks of rotten flesh that we can go trade with our clerics. That is a nice added bonus to this thing. But since then, we have been just mostly trying to dig out more of the redstone pit. We've made a little bit of progress, and I have also finally figured out what I'm going to do about that island over there that I'm just not particularly happy with how it turned out. But before we get to taking care of that, I just want to show you one little thing that I added here. Just inside the island, we put in this nice little viewing window so we can check on the farm, see how it's doing. As you can see, we've got a little bit of issues with the zombies going down the one block hole, but that's just crowding there and it's not doing too bad. Had a few issues with a bit of Thorn's armor, but nothing too serious. But anyway, we need to go and fix this island. So I am going to go get this set up, and then I'll be back to show you what I decided on. All right, so there we go. Went and took out pretty much the entire point there and kind of flattened off the bottom of the island. I think for these larger islands here, that is going to look a lot nicer than the little points that we've gotten on some of the smaller ones. I think those look great for those. Not so good for some of these bigger ones. So our snow farm island, our iron farm, maybe our melon and pumpkin farm. Those I think we're going to go with a bit more flatter base of the islands. Maybe we'll put in some mangrove roots trailing down to connect some little bits that have fallen off. I don't really know. I still have to go and play around with that. It still needs all of the detail, and I still have to do a little tinkering with the sides here just to get it to where I want it to look. But that can be done at any point. We at least have the island in. And today, what I think we're going to be getting up to is we are going to be working on a few more of our islands around here. Now, I want to focus on the farms and stuff that we've already kind of gotten started around here, just to work on that, like how we finished up the basalt farm area over here by putting in the mob farm. I do need to get the island in for that. This one, we are going to have to kind of bring this down to a point, just because we are not going to be able to get away with doing a flat bottom for this with how far down this has to go for the mob farm. So I'll have to play around with that. But for the rest of these, we should be able to do pretty quick, simple islands. Now, again, as I said, I want to work on some of the farms that we've already kind of gotten started around here and already have in before we get any new ones in. Which means that any work on a mob farm to get us some rockets to get around here easier is going to have to wait. And where I think we are going to start is we are going to start over there with our flower farms. Now, we do have a couple of them in. We have the one that's up there that is for 1 block tall flowers. I want to get a few more of those in scattered around. Those are probably going to be the big islands just so we could hide the dispensing system in there, because all of these I do want to have dispensers that bring everything to the central location. We will have to go to the farms anyway, stuff started, but if we don't have to go inside the islands to collect stuff, that should make things a lot easier to work with. Now, the little island there holds, I believe it's a rose farm, and there's one thing I want to change about that. So I just need to go and find a couple things to fix that. That's potion of invisibility, not what I need. And then I'll be back. All right, so I've gone and grabbed a few things that I think I'm going to need for this. Probably going to need more hoppers. But we have 2 different flower farms that we need to put in here. We need to put in the rest of our 1 tall flower farms. This one is blue orchid and cornflower, so we need the rest of those. You double check with our storage system how many more of those we're going to need. I think we're going to have one for all of the different flowers, mostly because that way when we need them we can easily just grow up one type of flower. We can just switch these ones out. As you can see, we've got alliums in here right now, but I think I'd rather have one for each individually and do lots of small little islands over here. And I don't think we're going to do big ones like this very often. We might put another one farther down over there because we do have this path here that goes up and around. We'll do something with this as well. But I think first what we're going to do is we're going to work on our 2 tall flower farms here. I'm going to start with this one because I need to figure out how on earth we actually did this thing. So I have no idea. We built this thing about a year ago and really haven't done anything much tinkering with it since. But the first things that we need to do is figure out what we can move here so we can actually move around without actually breaking anything. Because I built this really, really tight. But with that cleared up, we just need to take that out because this thing does not work. Our hopper minecart here has wandered off, so we aren't going to use that. We're actually going to go and replace this with a thing of mud. I think that should work. Hopefully we can put our flower on that, but that should help simplify this considerably since all we need to do is just have the hopper under the mud. And apparently we have an off switch for this. So there we go. That works. We do need a better way of getting around this place though, so we can figure out how we built it in the first place. But what it looks like we have is we have a simple little clock here that once stuff goes into our dropper here, gets turned. Where is the off switch for this thing? So what it looks like we did is we put something so that once we have bone meal in here, that triggers the comparator, which turns off this circuit here, causing this to pulse and pulse our comparator. So that just gets us a burnout clock. Okay. So now that we figured out how we actually did this in the first place, we can block that back up. Now, in theory, once we put the bone meal in, that should automatically start dispensing stuff out. But we do have to figure out how we can get out of here, though. Looks like we've got the hole here where we dropped in, but there's not really any way to jump out from in here. I might have messed up somewhere in the design with this island. All right, so with our little 2 tall flower farms kind of figured out how we actually built those in the first place. It's been quite a while since we actually worked on these. Probably should do some stuff working on these islands and just making them look a little better. Since we now have moss, we can mix into this instead of just doing our bits of grass so that it looks a bit more like some of our other islands that we've done more recently. But what I'm thinking is we'll do these out and over, kind of like this. We don't want to get too close to the bee farms though. So maybe we'll do one right over here. Let's get our grass out here. So don't have to be too big, but we do want to not block the beacon. That would be a good idea. Anyway, I'm going to go figure out where we're putting these. I think one's going to be here. Let's actually mark each of these. Let's do sunflowers. I think just using the flowers to mark out what each of the islands is will make it very easy to determine what is where later. And then somewhere over here-ish, I think we'll do our peonies, and then somewhere around there we'll do the other ones. But man, I'm gonna go get all of these marked out and at least the farm set in, and then I'll be right back. All right, and there we go. We now have 4 islands for each of our different 2 tall flowers in varying states of completion. Obviously, the roses are pretty much done. Got the peonies and lilacs mostly done. We should probably do something about that creeper. So, there we go. Anyway, so those 2 are mostly done. We did manage to get all of these working, and as you can see, the redstone for the sunflower island is still exposed. We've at least gotten the redstone covered on the rest of these. I think the rose one, you can still see it a little bit, but that's only if you're going past it in the air. And these are just rough outlines for the islands. I still need to go and play around with that. But you can somewhat hop between them now, which is good. It's really only just the one small little island between the rose and the peony farm. And we've gotten one going up from the lilac farm that we need to connect in eventually. But we still have to go and play around with how we're going to do the paths through this whole area. So we still need to work on that. But as of right now, they just basically put bone meal in and they spit flowers out the bottom. So if we take these 10, place those onto the moss carpet, do a little bit of our lilacs. I like this idea of basically kind of decorating each island with the flowers that's going to be there. I think that works really well. It tells us what is where. And there we go, 10 lilacs. Now, eventually, we'll have these all go into a water stream that'll put them eventually into that tower there. But for now, we've got just a few things here. And I do like how these are kind of going to be overgrown here as well. Still need to put the grass on a bunch of these. But again, we still need to get the basic shape of these in. But I think that is going to be good for now. Again, we still need to get the islands and stuff in. We still need to connect them all together. But I want to go and work on getting some of our one tall flowers in. And we've got 2 of them in right now. We could just use that for all of them. I do like the idea of having dedicated farms for each one. We do have to go to each one to turn it on. We do need to get that one better on off switch and figure out how to hide it so that it's not as visible and we don't actually have to go inside the island. But for that, I need to go and check how many flowers we actually have because I do want to get one for each of them. If it's not too much. I do like how that area there is shaping out though with all the little islands. So it might be nice to get ourselves a small little archipelago over there just with our flowers. But that's going to depend on how many more islands we need and whether or not we actually do one for each and every one of the flowers. Looks like we'd need 10 more of them. That might be doable. I'm going to have to do some planning out, but if you look at that, that is just turning out really well. Once those islands are fully in, that's going to look really nice with all the little bits and bobs scattered about there. It's going to be a nice little atoll. And eventually it'll connect up to our beehive islands over here. So maybe we'll put a path winding up from the sunflowers up. So we'll need an island about there. Go from the big island to the sunflowers. It's not really an island, that's actually connected to the cliff. Then we need one to go up from the lilacs to the peonies. Peonies to the roses we can do. Roses to the main island we can do already. That's already in. But we do need to get something. We'll do maybe one flower farm over there so we can break off the path. We'll do one down there as well so we can break off the path at the end. And I think the rest will just scatter in the vertical space around here. So I'm going to go figure out exactly what I want to do. The farm that we're using right now is pretty good. I like it. But I want to maybe see if we're going to do single flowers. This is probably not the best design. I mean, we could do this. But I want to see if maybe we can do something with the flower in the middle. So I'm going to have to do a bit of testing, playing around with that. And get back to you once I figure out what exactly we're doing with those. Alright, so you may have noticed that there aren't any more new islands over there. And that is because I was looking at what all we need to build 10 more little one tall flower farms and decided that was way too many resources that we need to do. Especially with 10 of these, I don't want to overcrowd the islands in this area. I just think that would be a bit too much to try and put 10 of these things in, especially since they aren't that much smaller than half of this. So I decided that we're just going to use this. I've got some ideas for what I want to do to make this a little more efficient. I think we're going to go grab about 4 more pistons and basically put those over here in the middle. That way we have more flowers that will get produced and broken down to get put into our collection system, which already overflows from this pretty quickly. So even adding those 2 should just increase this efficiency by quite a bit. But I think that is probably going to be good. I've got some ideas of how we can decorate around that and over that so we don't just have a gaping hole in the middle of the island. But I'll fiddle with that later. As you can see, we got all of the islands roughly in. I want to tinker around with that one a little bit more, just see what I can do with it. Not quite happy with some of the shapes in it, but as you can see, we did get some stuff done on the one Lilac Island. We've got some andesite, some mossy cobble and regular cobble, even some gravel in there as well. And I am quite liking the spyglass for looking at these things. This is going to make looking at our islands quite a bit easier because we can just stand back here, we can admire it from afar, we can zoom in on it, and I think that's going to be good. We do need to hide that dropper though. That's not going to be too difficult, but I think that other than obviously getting these islands a little bit better decorated and everything else, maybe we'll get some coarser dirt to mix in there so it's not just regular dirt. That'd probably actually be a good idea. Maybe we'll get some rooted dirt as well. We've got quite a bit of that right now. But anyway, I need to tinker around with that. But for now, I think that just that is going to be it for today. We've gotten all of our 2 tall flower farms in. And yeah, I think that that's probably going to do it for our main flower farms. I mean, there's still like several flowers that we can't get right now. We don't have a wither rose farm, which I suppose technically we do. That's the wither farm, but we still need to get our sniffer flowers in, which that'll go somewhere over there, I think. But obviously, I still want to get all of our old farms taken care of and updated, decorated, etc. before we start doing anything new like that. So, with that, I would like to thank you all so much for watching. I'm going to go work on getting these a little bit more decorated and set up. But again, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing if you want to see more what is going on in this little area and in the rest of this world. And I will catch you all in the next one. Goodbye.